Alright, so this video is for all my Godox users, Flashpoint users. This bag is terrible. Okay, so you gotta understand, I've been using Godox products for almost 3 years now. Godox, Flashpoint, they're the same company, they make the same products. One just is in another region than the other, and Adorama is under Flashpoint, but Flashpoint is almost extremely, they're the exact same company, just different names. All right, so they both sell these bags right here, this bag, and this will be for your Flashpoint Xplor 600 or your 8600 Wistro. I'm not exactly sure what it's called on the Godox side because I have the Flashpoint version, but you already noticed here is the Flashpoint bag, so you know I use the Flashpoint. I have two of these Flashpoint monolights, and they both come with these, whether you have the ETTL version or the manual version. And so you see this and you're like, oh wow, you get an affordable monolight with 600 watt seconds, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But then you get this bag and you start to understand where they cheaped out to try to get you that great flash for the low cost, and you start to understand where you stand. Now, unlike other products, there's not a lot of monolights on the market, and monolights are different from speed lights and other products where they sit differently in bags, or they need to sit differently in bags because they usually have a cover over the monolight, the actual strobe light itself, the actual bulb, and then they have to sit a certain way. You might want to charge a certain way, so they need to sit a certain way, and they need to have generous padding so you don't pull the flash out and then or the strobe out and then it's broken, or the flash tube's broken, or something's damaged on the inside like the monolight. So it needs to have generous padding and stuff like that because it has glass in it. So you're thinking to yourself, the bag would be great. If anything, they would definitely invest the money in the bag, but that's not the case here. So let me get into some of the things that I had to go through with this particular bag. Now, the first thing you have to understand is I purchased not one or two, but three of these bags, and I'm trying to understand why. I thought maybe, the first one I got, it was a dud. Let me go ahead and get the other flash, because I got two of these flashes, so both of them came with this bag, ironically. And then they still have the bad build quality. Even when I bought a spare one, to put my first manual Xplor 600 into it to replace the, my first one. The first one was where I started experiencing the problems. Now, let me put this little disclaimer here. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Nobody's coerced me to. I just bought this stuff off of my own merit, my own money, and I want to tell you my experiences, and I'm not trying to bash them just for general purpose sake, because I love the flashes. I love the monolights. I have the speed lights, the monolights from Flashpoint and Godox. I have Godox lights too, but I don't understand this bag. So I'm just saying it from that perspective. But the first thing I started to understand, you have to understand me. I use this bag all the time because I use the flash all the time. Now that you know that I use the flash all the time, I use it like a briefcase, this bag. And so it goes with me wherever I go. So the first thing I decided to do was just hold it like a briefcase. You're holding it by this part and you're walking into wherever you go. I'm usually doing schools and stuff like that, and I need a lot of power, 600 watts of power of cordless, free, lovely strobing action from this thing, and it gives me that. The product gives me that, but the bag, I don't want to be walking around with the bag and all of a sudden it falls out. And there was so many times after it started to break down that my flash almost fell out of this sucker, and I'm like, oh my goodness, my 600. It's just like, oh my god, I can't, like, in my brain, I can't fathom, like, my 70. If you didn't watch my last video, my 7200 story, listen to that. But I can't fathom my equipment falling out of my bag when I'm doing exactly what I need to do to close that bag. Like, I feel like the manufacturers should put these disclaimers. After a while, the bag will disintegrate on you, and your lenses and your equipment that's so expensive will fall out and roll down the street. The first thing that started to happen was I was holding it. I was like, you know what? Let me start using the zippers, and like I told you in my last video, let's get some carabiner clips or some locks, because I see that the zipper is starting to pull out a little bit, and it does that reverse zipper thing like you are, when you're in second grade and you got a cheap jacket or cheap, whatever, because you're a kid and nobody really cares about, all that stuff when you're young, unless your parents tell you to get something expensive. You pretty much have something cheap. And I like cheap jackets and stuff like that, and you zip it, and then the zipper gets reversed, or the zipper zips up, and then the zipper starts to open where you thought it was zipped, but it's not zipped because it's starting to unbuckle the zipper. Oh, cheap like zippers, like, you know what I'm talking about. And then the zipper will just break off the zipper, and you can't thread the zipper back up anymore because the zipper is off track and all this other stuff. All of that happened with this bag. All of it. Matter of fact, there's a zipper right here that's not even threaded anymore, and it doesn't even have the little zipper tail on it anymore. The zipper tail broke on it because I put the carabiner clips to try to keep the zippers together, so they'll use themselves to keep it closed so it won't fall on me down the street. And then the thread started to break on these bags. Like, the thread comes off of the actual, I don't know. I'm not a zipping person. I'm not a sewing person, but daggone this thread. This is the zipper. Look, I'm looking through it right here at you. But it's just like, you gotta understand. Did I see you? Yeah, you see me? Okay. So it's just like this zipper right here, it really does not hold up. And then the thread behind it doesn't hold up. On top of that, when you put stuff in here, you notice how it jumps up in certain spots. Well, that's just because it has a lot of room when you zip it and close it. So when you zip it and close it, there's no cushion to deplete that airspace between your strobe and accessories from the top of the bag. So that means there's a lot of stuff jostling around in here. Yeah, there's a little dirty and junky with paper and bits. Because I'm a working photographer. Anyway, so when you zip the stuff up in there, you just got all this stuff jumbling around in there. Eventually, the zippers are going to want to give under that pressure of that heavy strobe going back and forth. So nothing is tight in here. You would have to have extra generous padding in here, but that would involve you buying another $40 or $50 bag, which you might as well just try your best to make this thing work, but that doesn't even work either, so don't try that. And then I used this for something else that was less important with cheaper equipment, and it still didn't do a good job. It's a pain trying to unzip this the first day you get it. It is just not a good product to hold your equipment that costs so much money. And then on top of that, I said, oh, okay, so what I can do, I can hold this up, put it on like a saddle, sorry, I'm close to the mic, but put it on like a saddle and strap it across and stuff like that. But here, you see, here's the little clip for the saddle. There's no other clip on the side because I broke the saddle clip. Are you serious? I was just holding it with a strap across and whatever. And, when I'm walking, I'll walk, got a little bumping action going up and down. But that saddle clip didn't last but a month or two at max, and then it just ripped off. And the bag, I'm just like, I gotta grab it because that's my 600. Like, you gotta understand, guys, that is the most frustrating experience, because the last thing you want is to be doing everything that you think possible to keep your instruments in good condition, or your tools, whatever you want to call them, and then they start falling out of the actual equipment that's supposed to hold them and take care of them. So I got 3 of these bags, and I don't want to use any of them anymore. Here's the second bag, so that's 1. That's 2, so you don't think I'm lying. And I'm going to throw them away as soon as possible. And I'd advise you to get rid of them and switch out as soon as possible. You might be saying to yourself, well, Devin, if those don't work, you already said that monolights are hard to find that are wireless, that are in these types of bags. Well, you alluded to that in the beginning. So what do I put my Flashpoint 600 in right now? Well, I think that Godox has actually fixed this problem, but you're going to have to spend a lot more money for the bag. Of course, you are, because you got to pay for quality, but I thought a $50 bag would actually work out a little bit better than these are. Now, the alternative that I propose, the Godox bag for the 1200, I think it's Godox's version of the 1200 watt second flash, or the Flashpoint Xplor 1200, I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the flash that this bag goes for, but that's the one you should purchase. The 1200 watt second monolight bag that Godox and Flashpoint have, because it's designed for something worth more money than just the 600. Now, with that being said, yes, it does have like this book bag zipper design where the zipper goes up and down. But when you see the bag and you understand, you're like, oh, okay, I understand exactly why they did that and how good it is. It's also a rollable bag. You don't have to have it on your back. And it has some generous padding and like tight. It's a tight space, but I'm able to fit 2 Xplor 600s in there. And then everything is compact, but it's a soft, nice, well-structured bag, and the zipper is thicker. The zipper is never caught on the edge for no weird reason. I can slide it out, and it becomes a backpack if you want it to be. And I think it can be a shoulder bag, and it holds a tripod or whatever, but it is an amazing bag. I am not sponsored by Godox or Flashpoint to say this, because I just bashed one bag to bring and shed light on another bag. But it has everything you need in this bag. That bag is amazing. And when you work as a pro, even if you're just, you know, a hobbyist or an amateur, you can benefit from this, because if you do it for long periods of time, photography, especially stroke photography, you put bags on your back, you hold, strap, all this other stuff on your back. This stuff starts to wear at your body over long periods of times. Weddings, heavy events where you're sitting there for 6, 7 to 10, 12 hours doing an event, taking pictures, and then you got to go home and sit in a chair for even triple, quadruple the amount of time in one spot. That becomes your lifestyle on the computer. So you got to understand that bags are extremely important to not only the safety of your equipment, but the safety of you as a pro photographer, videographer, whatever you do. I'm done with Century Effects Studios, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I just wanted to get this out because I can throw these bags away now, because I just saved these bags, like the Canon bag that I had and the 2 Godox bags, the Flashpoint bags, and just I wanted to save those in my space just so I can get these videos out so you can actually see these bags and I can get some B-roll of these bags. And stay tuned for the next video.
Photo shoot, and yeah, so you want to catch me here on my YouTube channel at Everything's Tay. That's everything's with a Z, Tay. I do hair.